Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Adam's Kitchen. So, today we're going to be talking about steak. And today we're going to be cooking a grade 4 steak. What that means is that it just has a higher fat content. So, let's get started by preparing our ingredients. So, we're going to make some steak and potatoes. Now, when preparing the steak, it's very important that not only is at room temperature, but that you season it generously. Because when you season a steak and you start to cook it, a lot of the seasoning is going to get left in the pan. And we're going to be using a griddle pan today, so the pan is going to be kind of absorbing those spices into the grooves of the griddle pan. So now as I add the steaks to the pan, we are rewarded with the amazing sound of the sizzle. And as I zoom in, just look at the glistening fat or the oils that come off the steak. It's really, really amazing. And it might look like it's a fatty steak that might be chewy, but it's actually when it's fully cooked or just medium rare, which we're doing today, it's really soft and really it's like butter. It's one of the best cuts of beef there is. So as I flip it over now, you might see that nice grill lines, and it's cooking pretty quickly. I only cook it for 3 minutes on each side because I'm going for medium rare. And as I zoom in here, you can see that how the color is changing from pink to kind of like a little bit tannish color. That kind of tells me that where the steak is. Now, in order to determine how well done it is, I'm going to do the kind of poking test. And of course, the stronger, the more resistance the meat is, the more well done it is. So if it's really, really, really soft, then you know you have a very rare steak. If it has a little bit kind of like pushback or hold, then you know it's more well done. And if it's hard as a rock, well, then I think you've gone too far. So the steak seems to be pretty much where I want it to be, and as I let it rest, it's going to continue to cook a little bit more because it is still pretty hot. But the steak's done a good job, so it's time to take a rest. Now, while the steak is resting, look at the griddle. Look at all that little bit of glossiness, the brownness, that's all flavor. And we need some way to get it off the pan, and there's no better way than just adding some butter. Now, as you might notice, the butter is kind of running between the tracks, and you might worry about, being able to collect it and put it on our next ingredients, which is going to be the asparagus and whatnot. But have no fear, we're going to use a brush to kind of just clean it all off together, and we're going to pour it over the ingredients as we cook it. Now, as I add the asparagus, and yes, the potatoes as well, you'll begin to notice that it is kind of grilling the potatoes and grilling the asparagus. Now, the asparagus will be done much quicker than the potatoes will be, just because the potatoes are thicker and more dense. Since we have it on there already, let's keep them in the center so they get more heat, more attention. And we'll put the garlic on the side where it doesn't really need much heat to cook it. And it'll also get a lot more flavor from the juices and the butter from the side. Now that I start to flip the potatoes and work with the asparagus, which is being a bit temperamental, I must admit. It's kind of flying all over the place, but as I'm turning things over, I'm starting to notice that I had it set pretty high, so I'm a little bit surprised that things are not moving along. And it's about this point where I realized that I ran out of butane. So one of the nice things about working with a griddle is that the griddle will maintain its heat for quite a while, but it's not really going to cook things and make the griddle lines that I would hope for. But I think there's just enough gas left or enough heat left to cook things through. Alright, they've been cooked about well enough, so it looks like it did manage to make it through and things did get cooked pretty well. Let's take a look at that, and I have to say, ta-da! This steak looks great. Now I have the cross marks, which of course you don't have to do the cross marks. And let's cut into it, and it is so soft and so buttery and gentle. So let's take a look inside. How do we do for medium rare? And it looks pretty good. You know, maybe a little bit more rare, but it does look like a pretty good solid medium rare. So let's give a taste, and how does it taste? And it's actually really, really great. I was really quite pleasantly surprised. Anyway, that's my take on a Wagyu beef from Kyushu. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have the opportunity to try it yourself.